between the years when the oceans drank Atlantis and the rise of the sons of Aries, there was an age undreamed of, when shining kingdoms lay spread across the world. Hither came Conan, the Sumerian, sword in hand. It is I, his chronicler, who knows well his saga. Now let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Okay, again here we're looking at the ancient Scythians, who were referred to by slightly different names by people, but Saka, Shaka, Sakai, Sakai, Sek, or Sai in Chinese, shown by what looks like a temple with a cross below it. They're from the Eurasian steppe and Tarim basins, so what we know of as this whole area east of Eden, perhaps. Well, Eden is Tigris and Euphrates that runs here, but all of this area, but it encompasses over through here. Now, looking at it, and it says they were racially Caucasoid, and they're hooked up with these Issyk burials and Issyk Kurgan burials, and we made the connection with Issyk here and Saxxons also, and the Sakas and Suni and Saxxons, and the sons of Issyk, or Isyk's sons, and the connection there, and it shows you in the first part, of course, where that connection of there are people that are West European that are Saka, and then they come all the way through this whole area, through Sarmantia and what is known as Scythia, these people that have scythes, and how scythes works with farming and things, and how the Turkic tribes actually were way up here at one time in Parthia, where Parthenon comes from, and the ancient Indo-Europeans that came from this area, Bogdia, Saktana, and the Yahuzi areas, and the top of India, and the Indo-Scythians, that we generally, and they even refer to as Aryans, but kind of deny what it really was. The same thing goes with China, as we show you here. And also the Han Dynasty is from there, and the Xiongnu, which is an ancient Chinese dynasty, of course, here of northeastern steppes in Mongolia, which is actually believed to also have been a Saka origin place, and many were. And these burials that look very much like, I don't know, Queen Puni and things like that from Sumeria. And I've shown you the connections that go through there. In biblical Hebrew, I believe they connect through the Ashkenaz, through the people of Gomer and so on. And the Ashkenaz are from people that are up here in Europe, if you'll look, in this area up in here in the Black Sea. And so they're saying that they connect to these people of this way and not the other way. And how they're wearing these pointy caps, and that they're the Homa or Soma drinking Vedic people also. So connecting this all together, and Zoroastrianism. Okay, so we're just connecting a crap load here of that web today, but let's continue. There are Saka too that are beyond the sea, the name added after Darius campaigning to western Scythia and coming over into Anatolia, right? And the north of the Danube River, right? So we're talking about Ukraine, Poland, Germany, leading into France. Where does that thing go into? Right. Top of Italy. Okay. So I believe we're down here. And if you want to look back at the other one, I definitely want you to. And I'll put a link to it here at the end. One will be something different that you may not have seen from a month ago or so that may have an attachment to this. Other ones will be, the other one will be part one of this. But it shows you these weird people over here, which, I mean, hell, it looks like a garden gnome, doesn't it? You see that garden gnome over there? These pointy hats. We talked about the pointy hats and how it leads all the way through Phrygians, and it leads through witches and all those type of things. And I showed you a little too much last time, perhaps, but hey, there's some attachments you never had before too, and it's definitely not in this era at all, but we're going through that. And so where were we last time? I believe we were talking about Kashmir, and that they had come into North India, right? And this area here, the Aryans, where they'd come into. And then Kashmir, and Kashmir's over here. And I believe at the end of this, I'm going to link some photos with. We're going to do a little bit of Kashmir. Hopefully, I don't get flagged for it. But so Lebesky and Mayer speculate that some Sakas may have also migrated in the area of Yunnan in southern China following their expulsion of the Yehuzi, who were another Caucasian group that's well attested. Excavations of the prehistoric art of the Dian Kingdom of Yunnan have revealed hunting scenes of Caucasoid horsemen in Central Asian clothing from back in the prehistoric times in the Dian Kingdom, which if you'll look, now we've got them coming all the way over and around and hitting the coast past India and rolling back around, and then later we're going to go back through and come back through. So the scenes depicted on these drums sometimes represent the horsemen practicing hunting. Animal scenes of felines attacking oxen are also at times reminiscent of Scythian art, both in theme and composition. No better time to throw this in there now too, but there's also these scenes they have, I wish I could show you some pictures of them, where people are apparently dressed as cats. There's a reference to this, and like Cats, the new thing, the Broadway musical, these people apparently would make themselves look like jaguars and cougars and panthers and lions and play out this thing that was about the lions and how they were forced out of their territories because of everything happening. This is just the gist of it. And then it's all sad at the end. Now, it didn't have any Lloyd Webber songs in it or anything else, but it's strange now. People say, well, this is something, and if you look, all these cats and lions, I mean, Sumerians have lions. There's lions all the way up through Greece area when all that area was vegetated and not dried up and turned into a wasteland, and people took all the wood out of it before, and all the great forests and Lebanon cedars and so on that ran through the whole area. They were great forests and so on, and had a lot of creatures that now are trapped in small forest areas. We understand this today from a conservation standpoint. Whitey Cracker figured all this out, as we started to lose species just a little bit late here, and now we're trying to stop the other people that don't seem to have the idea yet. But in that fact, there were great lions and great cats and felines that went through this whole area. And it's funny, whenever I heard that thing, I never heard anybody else refer to it, but it wasn't long after that I saw something for Christmas and cats. And I, whenever it was first coming out and stuff way back when, and I'm like, that's funny. But let's go on. So migrations of the 2nd and 1st century BC have shown traces of Sogdia and Bactria, which is way down here, over in the edge, Caspian Sea over here and stuff. Bactria, they cannot firmly be attributed to the Sakai, similarly with the sites of Sirtrap and Taxila in ancient India. And I'm telling you that they can. The rich graves at Tia Tepe in Afghanistan are seen as part of the population affected by the Sakai, and they see the same things in all the other ones. That's the reason they put it in that same sentence there. But the problem is that everybody in the other ones go, no. The Shakas clan of India, to which Gautama Buddha, called Sakayumis, the sage of the Shakyas, belonged, has been suggested to be Sakas by Winchell and Christopher Beckwith, and about 150 others. And in a minute you'll see a statue of Buddha, and he's blue-eyed in the original thing, and description of him and how he was out in the sun all day but fairly pale, and all these other things that make you kind of get a good idea here of what's going on. I mean, so the region in modern Afghanistan and Pakistan where the Saka moved to be known as the land of the Saka or Sakistan. The Sakas are also captured in Gandhara and Taxila, and Gandhara is a name. I don't know if that triggers anything with anybody, but I'm not going to go into it. And migrated into North India. Most famous is the Indo-Scythian king was Maaz, right? Maaz was the first recorded Indo-Scythian king of that area, and established a Sakai hegemony by conquering the Indo-Greek areas, which were already going on during that time that people don't talk about either. But there was Greeks all the way to here. There was a far eastern tribe of the Greeks that had been out here for a long time trying to spread this same type of thing. So this was more of a wave situation, if you will, people. But this man here, they deified later, and they put US on the end of it, like they do for Kronos and Perseus and all that type of stuff. And this ends up being somebody who, ironically, is named Moses. And another odd thing that's about that is that, does anybody know that King Nimrod actually was supposedly put into a basket that had bitumen in it and sealed and pushed down the river and picked up by somebody else because he was a half-breed and then raised into their culture, but ended up becoming a great guy that took over and da-da-da. Anyhow, let's continue. An Indo-Scythian kingdom established in Mathura 200 BC to 400 AD here, which they show you some of these buildings and stuff, and you're like, it was made then? Most famous Indo-Scythian king there, Weir Renja Rishi, an Indian linguist, identified linguistic affinities between Indian and Central Asian languages. A long time ago, they see this as an ancient Aryan language too. So this is done in a total different way and still shows it. And I wish they would quit doing that. But ding. Which further lends credence to the possibility of historical Sakan influence on North India. According to the historian Michael Michener, the Ahira tribe were a Saka people cited in the Gunda description of western satrap Rudashima, dated to 181 BC. But it goes back before then. It's not like they were there the year before. Now, the Tarim Basin, we're going to look at that here real quick. The Kingdom of Khotan was a Saka city-state in the southern edge of the Tarim Basin as a consequence of the Han-Yangyu War spanning 135 to 89 BC. The Tarim Basin, now Zhejiang, or northwest China. So let's look here. It's going to pop it. Bam! Including Khotan, which now has this togetherness and brotherhood statue. Strangely, Khotan is supposed to have been the Ko people and the Tan people. And there was this feud, kind of like the Hatfield and McCoy crap. It went on forever. And supposedly this guy showed up, very tall. And he showed up and talked to them and got them together for the first time in a long time. And basically told them, hey, now, apologize for somebody 200 years ago. And hey, you apologized for somebody 200 years ago. And you didn't mean it. And you would have never known. And da-da-da. And hey, I've got an idea. You make real incredible art, and hey, you build incredible houses. Why don't you help each other out to build incredible houses covered with incredible art? And he walked out the door. Whiny cracker and John. But that's another story, probably total. There's not much more to the story than that. It's kind of just leads and alludes to that concept there, if I had to break it down for you. But anyhow, fell under Han Chinese influence, beginning with the North Emperor Wu of Han. The region once again came under Chinese suzerainty with the campaigns of the conquest of Emperor Chaizan of Tang from 626 to 649 AD. From the late 8th to 9th centuries, the region changed hands between the rival Tang and Tibetan empires, which, however, by the 11th century region fell unto the Muslim Turkic people of the Karakanid Khanate, which led to both Turkification of the region as well as its conversion to Islam from Buddhism. Archaeological evidence, documents from Khotan and other sites in the Tarim Basin provided information on the language spoken by the Saka. The official language of the Khotan was initially Gandhari Prakrit, written in Khorasani. So this is a Sanskrit style of language. This is an Indian type thing, indicating links of Khotan both to India and China. Surviving documents, however, suggest that an Iranian language was used by the people of the kingdom for a long time. 3rd century AD documents in Prakrit from near Shanistan record the title of the king of Khotan is Hanaya, or Generalissimo, and in their language. So, a distinctly Iranian-based word equivalent to the Sanskrit title of Senpati, yet nearly identical to the Khotanese Saka Hinayasa, attested in later Khotanese documents. Here we go, tying it again a little bit, but this, along with the fact of the king's recorded regnal periods were given to the Khotanese Kasuna, implies an established connection between the Iranian inhabitants and the royal power. According to the professor of Iranian studies and Ronald Emmerich, he contended that the Khotanese Saka language, royal Sanskrits of Khotan, dated to the 10th century even, makes it likely that the ruler of Khotan was a speaker of Iranian. Furthermore, he had argued that the early form of the name Khotan or Havatana is connected semantically with the name Saka. Later, Khotanese Saka language documents ranging from medical texts to Buddhist literature have been found in Khotan and Termshuk, northeast of Kashgar. Similar documents in the Khotanese Saka language have been dated almost to the 10th century, have been found in Da Nang manuscripts. In Da Nang. Although the ancient Chinese had called Khotan Yutan, other more native Iranian name occasionally used was Jusadana. Derived from an Indo-Iranian Gostan and Gostana, the names of the town and region around it respectively, that was founded by Caucasoids. The Shule kingdom, much of the neighboring people of the kingdom of Khotan, the people of Kashgar, the people of Shul, spoke Saka, one of the eastern Iranian languages. According to the Book of Han, the Saka split and formed several states in the region. These Sakar states include 2 states to the northwest of Shagar and Tamshuk to its northeast, and Turshigan north in the Pamirs region. Kashgar also conquered other states such as Yarkand and Kuka during the Han Dynasty, but it's later history. And this is all a Mongolian thing, right? And these are things that are conquests that are supposed to be some type of thing that's seen in, the Mongol Empire and so on. But we're coming to find out that, no, it's not. But yet no one ever talks about this. They never talk about the Issyk and the Issyk inscriptions in Kurgan that are written in an ancient Phoenician. They never talk about things and how it has its Phoenician, Sanskrit, ancient Prakrit roots that go back to both other one, and how it's a middle Indo-Aryan Prakrit. But it also shares features with modern Waki and Pashto. I think that's time for a little break here. I want to show you something.
The Chinese government last few years have released these pictures. There's hundreds of pyramids in China. And the Chinese government actually got the farmers to farm on top of the pyramids so that they wouldn't be so apparent by satellite. And the reason why, so here's the poor farmer that got the job. The reason why they were doing that is because they didn't want the Western world to know about these pyramids. Why? Because the legend that comes with these pyramids is that the sun gods built them, and that the sun gods were blue-eyed, blonde-haired people. As far as the Chinese government looked at this, blonde-haired, blue-eyed people had to be Europeans. And the last thing they wanted was European people being responsible for some of the most ancient knowledge of the Chinese tradition. So they didn't want those pyramids to be known by the West. They did find the mummies of these blonde-haired, blue-eyed people in the high desert of China. Over 500 mummies were found. All very tall, absolutely not Asian.
Okay, and so now I'm going to show you like the Saka language group and that breakout. It's not going to show up real well in here, but you can see the area that it had started in and migrated out to, and there's this little part way out there to the right, and then it blends in, hits there, hits northern India, right? Pulls across, covers the whole thing. And what this actually shows is the origin area, 8000 BC, coming out of it, and where this spread to as far as knowledge, certain crafts, certain things they found that correlate these people all to being together. It's the same guys, there's the same guys, there's the same guys. Now they do this, now they do that, now they do this, now they get pushed down to here, now they build and do India, now they do all this crap, now they go where? Now I think you know where they go where. Look at this again. That stream stretch out early into China that no one wants to speak of. And they're not showing you the correlation to Sumeria here. They're showing you later to the Guitans and people, but they're not showing it to there. But they're endemic the whole time, sitting there. In fact, it's them. Oh, there we go. Not the way it went either, people. Not the way it went. So let's finish this off for a little bit. So the kingdom of Khotan, which had two varieties in linguistics, corresponding to the major settlements of Khotan, which is now Hotan, and the Tumshuk, which is now Tumshuk, but it's spelled differently. And it's there, this little small area. Both of these varieties of Saka contain both borrowings of the Middle Indo-Aryan Prakrit, but also share features with modern Wakhi and Pashto, showing you they still got some of that. There's so many countries mixed into there. It's almost like Africa, where there's just this myriad of people in broken little countries that people never talk about or refer to. They just kind of go, yeah, it's over there. And then it's China, huh? It's just over there, and then it's China. But this Issyk inscription, found in an Issyk burial, a short fragment on a silver cup, found in the Issyk Kurgan, modern Kyrgyzstan, is believed to be an early example of Saka, constituting one of a few autochthonous epigraphic traces of that language. The inscription is in a variant of Kharosthi. Harmata identifies the dialect as Khotanese Saka, tentatively translating it as the vessel should hold wine of grapes, added cooked foods, so much or and a lot to the mortal, then added cooked fresh butter on. People can read a lot into that. I'm not going to go with it now, but it sounds like a sacrificial offering till it has the mortal in there, and it definitely defines the mortal. So apparently they're supposed to add things and give it to this guy here. But I don't know. Why would they have some sacred cup to do it? Sounds like a sacrificial cup to the person that was a mortal. Whoopsie. A growing body of both linguistic and physical anthropological evidence suggests that the Wakai are descendants of Saka. According to the Indo-Europeanist Martin Kummel, Wakai have been identified as classified as Western Saka dialect. The other attested Saka dialects, such as Khotanese and Termshakese, both Eastern Saka dialects. The Saka heartland was greatly conquered during the Turkic expansion I referred to earlier. Beginning the 4th century, in the area was gradually Turkified linguistically under the Uyghurs. Under the ogres, and the battle for Middle East, and the battle for Middle Earth. And Mediterranean means Middle Earth. And this kind of leads into what led into the Trojan War. Let's finish this off a little bit, and I got a little bit of a slideshow. Similar to other Eastern Iranian peoples represented on the reliefs of the Abadana at Persepolis, which I'm going to show you a thing to in Persepolis. And if you'll look here in the picture, it's got the ancient Lamassu, right? That you see all the way up into Scythia and Syria now. And Baalbek and tombs right around through there in this artistic style. Sakas are depicted as wearing long trousers which cover the uppers of their boots. Over their shoulders they trail a type of long mantle or cape with one diagonal edge in back. One particular tribe of the Sakas, or the Saka Tigrakada, wore pointed capes or tapered. Herodotus, in its description of the Persian army, mentions the Sakas as wearing trousers and tall pointed capes, also in tall pointed caps. So Phrygians, so the tall pointed cap people we've been talking about. Fraternal polyandry was common among the Saka. Brothers had one wife common with the children, were considered to be as long as an oldest brother. This has at least been done in a couple of tribes. So they have Saka languages and so on in central steppes. And I'll show you that that'll lead to Aryans and so on there. But I think we're going to end it here. Here's your citations that make up this. And what people physical type this group distinctly Mongol. It is also very different from the Eupoid Saka people of the Altai. And I think I recently showed one of the people in here, an Altai woman who is a Cro-Magnon with an extended cranium. And they found her with blonde hair on her, and there's your proto-Cro-Mag woman with elongated heads that lead from there and into the Black Sea that genetically match up, ironically and oddly, to the craniums that they find in Paracas, Peru, with the big elongated heads when they genetically tested those. That's probably a whole nother video, though, people. So, interesting, and the Saka language, Khotan documents,